Within the X-Men comics, accredited writer Chris Claremont often hinted at a possible third Summers brother from Scott and Alex. However, the concept was eventually abandoned due to circumstances depicted within the comics, as well as fears that a third brother to the Summers family wouldn't exactly be received well by readers. The premise or concept of a third Summers brother was later brought back for modern X-Men readers with X-Men Deadly Genesis issue 1, written by Ed Brubaker. Origins on details of the character known as Gabriel Summers had him retroactively put into the X-Men lore, and to explain the decades of differences between the X-Men's first conflicts and all these stories, including with the Shi'ar to the modern time when Vulcan was reintroduced, had him being off-world. Brubaker decided to give Vulcan the ability to control, manipulate, or absorb vast amounts of energy. While the premise of such powers within mutants has been done already within the X-Men comics, the ploy for Vulcan was that it would be even greater than a normal mutant's potency. This was done to have the character to be an immediate threat to others within the Uncanny X-Men universe, or to give him a sort of threatening appeal. His powers were so vast that the actual limits of his said abilities were unknown at the time. He used this energy manipulation to produce different types of energy, even surpassing or suppressing mutants' own abilities through energy. Scott and Alex, since they were brothers, were actually immune to each other's powers, but this did not apply to Vulcan as he could technically damage the both of them. Even according to Ed Brubaker, after all of these details, during the time when he was used within the comics, there were still supposedly hidden potentials, which could allow Vulcan to fully generate and control elements being that of earth, wind, fire, water, electricity, darkness and light. The character of Vulcan received much criticism and dislike from critics as well as comic readers at the time, due to the quick instances of threats to the X-Men that Vulcan possessed, and even the level of powers automatically given to this said character led many to assume that Gabriel Summers was that of a Mary Sue type of character. The X-Men comics of the early 2000s were notoriously known for bad writing, and longtime fans of the Uncanny X-Men remarked that Vulcan was essentially a visual description or portrayal for all of that unsatisfactory details, story, and lore of the time within the comics. Due to the overpowered details of Vulcan, the character was soon ignored by writers due to the difficulty in attempting to put him into stories with other characters, or even give the character meaning. From the character's introduction in 2006, there were only sporadic examples of the character being used up until the 2009 X-Men comic event War of Kings, where Vulcan's fate remained unknown. Critics mentioned that at the time it was a somewhat quiet way of letting the character fall into disuse and ambiguity. Even if the character were to be used again within future X-Men comic stories, the circumstances for the character's creation and overwhelming negativity for Gabriel Summers from readers as well as critics meant that the character would always have limited use. A character could be overrated yet hated because they were created from another character's concept or even a writer's idea, then made more important than what they are or were supposed to be.